Hi everybody, it's Az here from HeelvsBabyface with AZChats number 82, Blizzard. Before you turn up for work today, make sure to bring a hose or a bucket of water, because right now there is a huge dumpster fire in BFA and they're called Warfronts. Oi, oi, oi. Okay, so there's a lot to get through today, people. I'll try and get through it as quickly as possible, but this may be a long one. Ladies, good grief, that was a moment, wasn't it? But I do want to start by asking a legitimate question to Blizzard, and the question is, who do you think your audience is? Because I'm really confused right now as to what you think we potentially are. Now, if you think your audience are people who don't want to do anything in your game, you're doing this great. Then that is exactly how the content is coming off. If you think your audience actually want to spend time in your game, then we've got some crossed wires here, and I think we need to go through it. So, of course, this week, or last week, we saw some major content drops. The Raid came out, Mythic plus Dungeons came out, and Arathi Highlands came out, which was the zone that you control when you win the Warfront. And I do the quotation marks because you can't lose a Warfront. It's actually impossible to lose a Warfront. So when you win the Warfront, if you control the zone like you do with the Alliance right now, what that means is PvE players can go around the zone unharassed. They don't have to get flagged PvP unless they want to go war mode. And they could just go about doing what there is in the zone, and we'll get back to that shortly as well. Whereas the Horde, who don't control the zone, even if they don't have their war mode turned on, they will turn up as hostile and be flagged PvP. So the Alliance do have the opportunity to attack them should they wish, but if you want to remain flagged PvE, that is their prerogative. Also, it means that the Alliance have access to a world boss, which the Horde do not. And they also have access to 6 quests, which we'll get to very shortly indeed. So that is kind of how things operate. What's been going on with the Horde is, during this week, last week, the Horde have been contributing to unlocking the Warfront scenario, which has now been unlocked. They now have 7 days, now that it's been unlocked, to do the scenario and win it. Like I said, you can't lose it. So not this reset, but the reset after, the Horde will then control Arathi Highlands. The Alliance will be flagged the aggressors. And the Alliance will then have to contribute towards unlocking the Warfront. And then they will have 7 days to do the Warfront. So every 2 weeks, the zone just flip-flops, as in who controls it. Horde, Alliance, Horde, Alliance, Horde, Alliance, Horde, Alliance. So let's talk about control. As mentioned, the Alliance got 6 quests. And every single one of these quests is the same. Kill 20 of A, kill 20 of B, kill 20 of C, kill 20 of D, kill 20 of E, kill 20 of F. Really inspired stuff there, by the way. And the rewards for these 6 quests are war resources, war resources, war resources, war resources, artifact power, and a piece of 340 equipment. So, just as inspired rewards to go alongside the quests. They also, as mentioned, have access to a world boss. So what is there to actually do in Arathi Highlands? The answer is one thing. Shoot fish in a barrel. There is absolutely no content whatsoever apart from the rare mobs which are scattered around the zone. There are no mini games. There are no dynamic events. There are no secret. There's nothing. There's just 28 rares plus the world boss making 29, and you go around and you can kill them once a week, And every single one of them has the chance to drop 340 gear or above, because it can Warforge and Titanforge. That will become very prominent during the course of the video. And some of them have some pets, and some of them have some toys, and some of them have some mounts attached to them. But that is it. So you are literally looking at Arathi Highlands like a barrel of fish, and you're just going from gold star to gold star to gold star to gold star to gold star. Really, really boring stuff. I was kind of hoping, considering you would be in control of the zone for 2 weeks, there would be events to participate in, there would be games to participate in, there would be various things to get involved with, but no. One singular solitary thing. Do the rares, and that's it. And they spawn, of course, 2 minutes after they've been killed, so nobody is ever going to be without. So to put into context, the Alliance get 1 guaranteed 340 a week by doing the quest, and then they have 29 attempts to get further 340s and also a 370 from the world boss. Just to put into context, I have 2 top-level Alliance characters, a Warlock and a Hunter. Both of them got 3 from the rares. They got their 4th one from the guaranteed quest, but they got 3. So that is roughly 1 piece of gear dropping every 8. Every 8 and a bit mobs. So, that's just to give some sort of context. So we're looking at roughly walking away with 4 340 or above pieces of gear a week by being in control of Arathi Highlands, which is pretty damn generous, if you ask me, if not overly generous, bearing in mind that 340 is the same item level as a mythic, a regular mythic dungeon. It's the same item level as LFR Raid, which is yet to come out, and it's higher than any of the world quests will give you for gear. So let's talk about this chappie now. Although the Horde don't control Arathi Highlands, as mentioned, they can venture there. The only thing is, regardless of war mode, they will be classed as hostile and flagged PvP. But they can participate in killing the rares. Obviously, they can't kill the world boss, because the world boss is actually a Horde element. So that goes. That's actually friendly to the Horde. But the other 28 rares, they are up for grabs as well by the Horde. And this character did that and got 6 pieces of gear. 5 of them that they could actually use. Already, to me, alarm bells are ringing. Why are our alarm bells ringing? This is a catch-up zone. This is a catch-up zone 3 weeks into an expansion's life. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. Why are we having a catch-up zone 3 weeks into an expansion's life? Surely people should still be organically trying to level up. I have actually rather enjoyed my BFA experience up until the release of this week's content. Why? Because there has been a very structured pacing to how things have actually transpired. You have started to level up from 110 through to 120. When you reached 120, it was time to start gearing. So you could do your world quests for the gear, try and get those little extra pieces which would qualify you for heroic dungeons. Then you would get into heroic dungeons, which would give you that extra boost to up your item level with the gear from there, which organically raises the world quest items item level and allows you to go further into raising your item level up, and then it pushes you towards doing mythic dungeons as well because you're of a gear to get through them, and then you can start getting your first few pieces of 340. And that just organically starts to prep you for Mythic Plus and for raiding. Now, Blizzard have just gone and blown up Alderaan with the Death Star. And just vaporized any of that need whatsoever. Bye world, no need. because we have everything here in Arathi Highlands. We've got a catch-up zone that you can come and get 4 pieces, 6 pieces, however many pieces it can be, and that's just from a regular 1 week, which would have taken you much longer probably if you were dungeoneering. So there's now no point in doing any normal dungeons whatsoever, not that there necessarily would be, but there's definitely no reason to do any heroic dungeons, and there's absolutely no reason to do any world quests for gear, if you actually are looking to wear the gear, because it's completely irrelevant. So content is just being absolutely struck off. Concerning. Very, very concerning indeed. 3 weeks into an expansion's life. Now, I absolutely needed you to hear my concern about already what's happened just with the release of Arathi Highlands before we even discuss the Warfront, because that is going to take us to a stratosphere that we... mind-blowing. So, the Horde contribute and they unlock the Warfront. They get a quest. The quest is to win the Warfront. You can't lose the Warfront. So the quest is just free gear. It's just free gear because you can't physically lose the Warfront. Win the Warfront. You can't lose the Warfront. And it rewards a 370 piece of gear. 370. Crazy. That is raiding heroic levels of gear. That is World Boss in Arathi Highlands level of gear. Higher than normal raiding. Higher than Mythic Dungeons, obviously. Higher than World Bosses outside of Arathi Highlands, because they're giving 355. They're giving, oh dear, normal levels of gear. By doing something which you can't actually lose. And yeah, you may say, but you only get 1 piece as. That is going to be a huge contributor. And as we're going to see shortly, oh boy, was it ever. So you get this quest. Also, when you complete the Warfront, you get a guaranteed 340. So you get a guaranteed 370 because you can't lose. And because you can't lose, any reward which is given at the end of the Warfront is not earned because you can't lose the Warfront. So this is all just free gear and free gear. We're getting welfare 370s and welfare 340s for days for doing nothing because you can't lose the Warfront. So when I was streaming Sunday Mass yesterday, which is normally a mount farm stream, I did a couple of bosses that dropped mounts, and then it came through that the Warfront had unlocked. So I went into the Warfront with this Horde character here. And I wanted to prove to the audience that you don't have to contribute a thing in a Warfront. And so I went through the first Warfront. The Warfront, by the way, which has got the quest attached to it to win. I went through that Warfront and I engaged 0 mobs in combat. 0. I did no damage to anything. I didn't fire any spells off in anger. I didn't dot anyone. I didn't incinerate anyone. I didn't get my pet onto any... Nothing. No damage at all. Obviously, we win the Warfront. And so I complete the quest, and I also get a 340 piece of gear. Plus, because it can Warforge and Titanforge, we'll get to that momentarily. But I complete the quest so I can go pick up my 370. So let's just open up my character screen now. This character, my Horde alt, before Arathi Highlands opened, was on item level 293, I want to say. About 293. So when it got the 5 pieces of gear from Arathi Highlands, it pushed it into the teens, the 3-1 teens, the 3-1-3s, the 3-1-4s, around about there or so. But when I handed in the quest from the Warfront, which I can't lose, which I did absolutely nothing in. Well, defended the base. Didn't hit anyone, didn't hurt anyone. It Titan Forged to 390. 390 for doing nothing whatsoever. And the boots, these are what I got for completing it as well. 340 boots. So I got the legs at 390, replacing some 310 or 295 legs, I think it was. And the boots 320 they replaced. So I got a colossal upgrade. I think actually that was 320, so that went up 70 item levels. That was 320, that went up 20 item levels. So 90 item levels just on those two pieces of gear there. For doing nothing. Absolutely nothing. This is where shit just gets ridiculous. So this is where the dumpster fire starts. And I gotta say, before I go into the next segment, this has to be a mistake. It has to be. Because if what I'm going to say next is legitimate and is working as intended, then I have no idea who Blizzard thinks their audience is. I don't. I am lost. So here we go. So after I do the Warfront, I say, right, let's log on to my Alliance character. Let's do some more world bosses for some mounts in the mount farming stream. Word starts filtering in the chat. Hey, Az, I did another Warfront and I got another piece of gear for completing it. Sorry? I got another 340 piece. Oh, I did too, but mine Warforged. I actually got a 345. I got a piece of mine Titan Forged. I got a 370. Suddenly I started getting these chats coming in from people saying that if you do another Warfront, although you don't get the quest again, obviously, it's a weekly, or bi-monthly, I should say, once every 2 weeks, you can still get a 340 by completing the Warfront. That, of course, can Warforge or Titan Forge. So I have to try and see if this is correct. So I go back into the Warfront and I do another Warfront. And I do another Warfront. And another Warfront. And another Warfront. And another Warfront. And another Warfront. I got 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 from the 2 pieces that I got during the first one. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Azerite gear, weapons, wands, warforging with sockets, staffs, more weapons, more Azerite gear, backs, bracers, boots, more Azerite gear, gloves, already from killing the rares in the zone, belts. The only thing it doesn't drop, rings and trinkets, by the looks of it. The only thing it doesn't drop. Every subsequent Warfront that you do, you'll get a guaranteed 340 that can Warforge and Titan Forge for completing it. So let's put that into perspective, people. Because you have the ability to Warforge and Titan Forge gear, you have the chance to proc things which go beyond Mythic Plus. Things that go beyond Mythic Oh dear! I had to do a dramatic pause then because that 390 is higher than Old Dear Mythic, which drops 385 plus because it can Warforge and Titan Forge. So because Warfronts are guaranteed wins, you can't lose. All you got to do is just get in there and take the time to be in there. You can just... This is why it has to be a mistake. It has to be a mistake. Because you could just keep doing these for 7 days, and each one lasts approximately 20 to 30 minutes, let's say. So you could just keep doing this all week if you want to. Because remember, it's Blizzard themselves that said people will always gravitate towards the content which is the easiest to get the best reward. So why go into a Mythic Plus dungeon? Hell, why even go into Old Deer, really? When you can just keep spinning the roulette wheel and seeing if you get a Warforged 350 or a Warforged 345 with socket or a Titanforged 390 or whatever else you may get. 340s is standard. Absolutely crazy. And I already expressed at the beginning of the video my problem with just the rares in Arathi Highlands, because it's making the outside world, which I did a video a few days ago, is already so badly under threat right now, because there is no content to do there, nothing of any relevance to do there, and therefore why would you even consider going into the outside world when you have a loot flipping slot machine pinata come freebie for doing nothing, for doing something you can't even lose, for doing something that's dull and boring, has no challenge, and you can't even lose. So any reward that you get from the end of it is a freebie. It's a hand me out. It's a here you go, here you go. It's throwing dollars at a dancing hooker. No challenge, nothing. Just come in, get a free piece of gear. Come in, get a free piece of gear that can Warforge and Titanforge. And I'm having people, I've asked people to tweet me. Tweet me what you got. 370, 365, 345. All these Warforging and Titanforging pieces that they're getting through doing something which is impossible to even lose. When we tested Warfronts on the alpha, the consensus of feedback was the dull. They were dull. Once you've been in it for 5 minutes and experienced things, there was nothing to them. They were too easy. You can't lose. And so we provided the feedback and Blizzard did nothing about it. Now, it's their prerogative whether or not they choose to accept feedback, but the vast majority of people were saying they were dull. They decided to do nothing. Okay. Maybe Blizzard know best. You think you do, but you don't. And then when you see the rewards which are attached to them, this additional gearing up for further Warfronts has got to be a mistake. Got to be a mistake. Otherwise, heroic dungeons dead. Mythic dungeons dead. The outside world is already on life support. But to be perfectly honest with you, that is probably not going to pull through. The outside world is dead. The only thing that you need the outside world for are reputation grinds. And the only thing that you need mythic dungeons for will be rings and trinkets. That will be it. But with that said, you could just actually bypass them, because you could say, well, hey, I'll get my rings from the world bosses. And I'll get my trinkets from LFR. Less hassle. I just have to open up a button and queue. Doink. Done. Less hassle. So yeah, you could actually just totally kill off Mythic dungeons now. Not Mythic Plus, but certainly standard Mythic. Well done, you lasted 3 weeks. Everything else is provided in the Warfront. 3 weeks into an expansion's life, and the world is dead. Mythics are dead and heroics are dead. And to be perfectly honest with you, you know, I'm sure some people are thinking, well, why bother going to raiding? Why bother going to Mythic Plus? I can play the lottery. Can I Titanforge? Can I Warforge? Play the lottery. See what you get. It's the easiest thing to do, because you've got a 1 week. You've got a 1 week slot machine going on right now. And then I think this reset the Mythic raiding unlocks. So although, you know, maybe they've got pieces of gear from the heroic, the horde side of the mythic race can just be constantly doing Warfronts right now in an effort to get a proc. A Warforged proc that's better than something they've got. A Titanforged proc that's better than something that they've got. Is that going to affect the mythic race in general? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. It might not have any effect. It might have a rather large effect. What I can say for absolutely sure is with the way that Warfronts are set up right now, the Horde have an advantage. There's no denying that. Because whereas the Alliance can no longer get any gear, the Horde can just do this slot machine. And I'm not saying it's good for either side. I'm not saying it's unfair to the Alliance. This whole thing is stupid from the start. This whole Warfront thing is stupid that they can do this. But the Horde are at a distinct advantage in the fact that they can just keep on going and see if they can just get something to proc, a weapon to proc. This is so badly designed. This is such a badly designed piece of content all round. Not just the Warfront, but Arathi Highlands surrounding it. What is fun, Blizzard, about just going from rare to rare to rare to rare, killing them once a week, wait for reset? What is fun about that? Not much. Not much, really. It's just like, it's his shooting fish in a barrel. I mean, you always get that kick of getting a piece of gear, but it's like a game. It's just like, how much stuff can we get for doing basically cack all? That's what the game is. The game isn't, this is fun. The game is, how many pieces of gear can we get off the rare mobs for doing nothing? That's the game. The Warfront, non-engaging, dull, boring, can't lose, 370 at least piece of gear once every 2 weeks, 340 for completing it. This is a terribly, terribly designed piece of content. This is a dumpster fire in the game right now. The additional gear, all of this has got to be a mistake. This has just got to be a mistake. I'm going to be very interested to see what happens in a few hours' time when you get to work. Whether or not we get any feedback saying, whoa, hey, whoa, Warfronts weren't meant to give additional gear after the first one. It was meant to be like a one thing and then you're done. But if it's like, no, this is how it's intended to be. You are creating a game where you don't need to do anything to get rewards. I say this with sincerity. People, the vast majority of people will go. Because ultimately, for the first couple of weeks of that it might be weirdly, perversely enjoyable that you just see all these purples dropping and warforging and titan forging. If ultimately that person has nothing to do, Blizz, they will go. And they will play something, whatever it is. Could be bloody Fortnite for all I know. They'll go and play something which is fun to do. I knew 8.0 had problems. I said 8.0 has problems in my review. I hinted at this stuff here. Now that people have had the chance to experience, now I can talk about it. And this is why I gave 8.0 a 6.5 in my review. There are huge problems with 8.0. And I didn't know the extent of the problems of Warfronts. But even if Blizzard come to work today and say, eek, sorry, this was a big mistake, we're going to have to take it away from you. Just like the mythic chests were a mistake and they had to roll that back. Even with that taken into consideration, Arathi Highlands on its own and the Warfront on its own, the rewards that you get are just too much for something that involves nothing. Now, you can choose you know, to feel which way you want. I want the best for the game. I really do. That is why I have to feel as if I have to speak up about these things. Because I love this place. I really, really do, Blizz. I love this place. I think it's gorgeous. And I want stuff to do here. I don't want to do stuff in Arathi Highlands. Well, there's no stuff to do in Arathi Highlands. I don't want to just go fish shooting in a barrel in Arathi Highlands for gear. I would rather be doing content in this gorgeous world. Can we have that? Please, can we have that? I'm sorry if I've rambled on today, folks, but even if Blizzard do pull back the additional gear from the extra Warfronts that you can do, there's still the big problems with Warfronts and being over-rewarding in Arathi Highlands, which are messing with this beautiful place. And, yeah, it kind of breaks my heart. It kind of breaks my heart. So I hope you enjoyed the vid. If you did, do get a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel. Follow me on social media and Twitch for live streaming links. They're in the description box down below. And I'll be back with some more stuff very soon. You take care. Bye for now.